Hi. I wanted to ask you about the blocks between the block
Uh-huh.
between the leg. That is so challenging for me when we have, well, even just putting it between the legs and trying to squeeze in is challenging. And then doing the side bends with it is really challenging. Why are we doing it? Why are we putting the block between our legs?
So first of all, let me ask you, what does it mean by it challenging? What is it challenging?
Uh, the feelings that I get, like it's not painful, but it's just feels different than any other movement. So I feel like almost like I'm afraid to go too far, like I might hurt myself
Mm.
in a way.
Well, there's your answer why we're using the blocks.
Oh,
Because it's teaching you that you can't where your range is. Right? Because without the feedback, without those blocks, you're adjusting, so you're not finding any resistance, right? It's like putting you in this position, and it's engaging all these muscles, and it's engaging posture, and it's feedback, right? So it's kind of like the mobility stick too. It's the same reason why somebody would say, why are you using the mobility stick? Well, if you notice, when we use the mobility stick, don't you reach higher because the stick's in your hand than you did when you were in yoga and just did crescent lunge with no stick, right? And as
right.
well, from that reach up, then we're able to do all these movements with the stick. But if we just crescent lunge and we don't have any type of feedback in our fingers because we're not seeing our fingers above our head, right? I mean, we're not seeing them. And with the stick, it's like you have this subject, this thing that you're touching, and the mind, that proprioception is becoming deeper, a deeper connection. They call
Mm,
the proprioception your sixth sense, right?
sure.
So your proprioception is understanding what your arms are doing without seeing them, what your toes are doing without looking at them. You feel them, you understand them, right? So
Yeah.
that's one reason why we're using the block. The other reason why we're using the block is because it engages the muscles without an over squeeze or an under squeeze. So those glute muscles, because one of the biggest things that I have is people over squeezing their glutes. See that? So then I get this instead of this. And the block, see, that's me squeezing my glutes, but I'm not over squeezing them. So the block helps me stop to over squeeze, but I'm also not under engaging, because by having the mind have something to squeeze on, you notice that it's a squeeze in to really get that gluteal engagement. The
Mm.
other thing is, where is your challenge? What hurts? Where is it scary? Is it
I
from the
think it's,
pressure?
well, my hips feel like they're wider than, usually we're standing with our hips kind of straight. And this makes me feel like my hips are pushed out.
Push back and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it comes back to this, right? I mean, it's subtle, but you can see it. Are you talking about your hips are back here like this and out, wider here, but squeezing in?
Wider here. Yeah, but squeezing in. And I wondered if if I go too far back and forth, am I gonna pull something in my back?
Because did you feel something right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means you have something tight there, because you know where I felt mine? In my hip scars.
Oh.
That's in my hip scars with the scar tissue. That's where I'm still tight, right? I have restriction. So when I felt mine, but I felt the pull and I was like, oh, this is a good pull. This is comes
Okay.
back to the chase the feel good.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, it won't be good. Okay. If it scares you and you feel like what you're saying, then it's not a good movement. What you would do is just smaller, because it's here. The
Uh-huh.
blocks are really teaching you where it needs to be. So if you're going too far, then you're going
Okay.
too far. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it
So
does.
so use the blocks to help you um, get rid of the bigger movements and utilize more of the smaller, more
Oh,
finite movements of this area. Because
okay.
this is really hard to teach to side bend here, right? So the block just allows me to let you have all this work, because a lot of people side bend here. See this? See my
Yes.
rolls?
Okay.
And the
So
block,
now,
the squeeze in here, and this.
yeah, now it's making sense. Okay, now
Yeah.
it's making sense to me because right, because when I'm with them, when I have the block between my legs, it is all the feeling in the rib cage is so different. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
And it's yeah.
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 But
And
you and
it's
your mind still need to define it as good. And now, after this talk, and you have this body knowledge and this understanding of why I'm doing it, I wonder
uh-huh.
what it will feel like to you on Thursday.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
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 Because as soon as the mind starts to think, ooh, this, I don't know if I like this movement, it's no longer a good movement to you. That's the reason why I don't say that all my movements should feel good to you guys 100% of the time, but we want to eventually make them feel good. We want to find the ones that don't feel good, right? We're on a search for the ones that don't feel good so that we can eventually make them feel good. When I say eventually, it could take a couple years. It could take a couple months, who knows? But we find what doesn't work so that we can work on it. Because if it's not
Yeah.
working, there's something missing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at this today for you. You found some things that didn't work. Now you have an understanding why I'm doing it, the science behind it, and now you get to explore with it and find why we're actually doing it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's there's always this fear component with something new like that, where I go, oh, I don't know, I'm afraid I might pull something. And so
Yeah.
I hold back, but this helps me get more relaxed also with the movement so
Yeah.
that I can be more aware of what's happening.
Yeah. I want to
Okay.
pull on you, but I don't want it to over pull on you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's when you do have that thought, your mind, your thought process is your best coach. I'm only here to kind of utilize and be a vehicle for information and ideas for each of you. But if you are like, ooh, I'm not for sure about this pull, then back. So if you're like, I'm not sure about this pull here, then this is where you'd go here the next time.
Yeah.
You'd stay right behind it. I do want to pull on you, but I don't want to over pull on you.
Yeah.
There's a fine line, and I need each one of you to find those fine lines as you move with me.
Hey, that
Okay.
makes total sense. Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking the question. It was awesome.
Okay. See you
Bye,
next
Stephanie.
class. Bye.